Hiya, as promised, I've put together a short video just to show you how you can perhaps manage your to-do list and your weekly and your daily tasks a little bit better. So in today's world, we've all got a million different things to do, whether it's from a family perspective, a business work-life perspective. There's so many things that are grabbing our attention. So the first tip I would give people, and in my eyes is quite fundamental, is to get it out of your brain and capture all of the things you need to do somewhere else. It's basically called your second brain. So it can either be a piece of paper, which is fine, it is still a system, or ideally in today's age, you probably want to be using some form of app. So iPhone, Android, they're good for having apps where you can, native apps where you can record and list all of the things you need to do. But there are some purpose-built apps out there. So Todoist is one, and where it can categorize and organize them a little bit more efficiently. But the main thing is get it out your brain, put it somewhere else, whether it's on a piece of paper or ideally electronic system, and then it's there. And you don't need to store that information in your head, because if it's in your head, you keep on replaying the same thing over and over again. You keep on thinking to yourself, have I done that yet? Oh, don't forget, I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to go shopping on Tuesday, or I need to pay that bill. And when you're relaxing, you keep on revisiting the same thought. So you're sitting on the sofa, you're watching Netflix, and then maybe for the fourth time that day, I really need to pay that bill, or I need to sort that parking ticket out. If it's in your head, you keep on replaying and revisiting the same thing, which drains your energy, really. So the first thing I'd say is get it written down. Okay, so if you're happy with that, so you've got it all written down. So if you look at the slides here, here's an example of some things you might have on your list that you need to do. So you might, if you're a business owner, you might need to raise an invoice to a customer. So you've done some work, you need to raise that invoice, you've written it down, and here it is here. You might need to prepare a quote, so you've not even done any work yet. You need to put a quote together, and there's probably some steps involved to putting that quote together, but you need to prepare a quote. You've got some filing you need to do, some admin, you need to pay some bills, you might need to pay the wages for the staff if you're a business owner and you've got staff. So that there's lots of different things that you need to do. On top of that, you might have several other things you need to do. So in addition to this, you might have a Facebook advertising campaign that you're looking to get up and running in the next week or the next few weeks. You might have some artwork, and so I've done an example of Chapman Tax Accountants there. You might have some plans to do some custom artwork, because you're doing a brochure or you're doing a poster, whatever it's for. You might have a project to launch a new website, and in addition, you might have to, as I mentioned earlier, go shopping, to do the groceries. You might have to do the washing up. You might have to get things ready to be able to cook dinner that evening. You might have lots of house chores, so you might need to do all the hoovering. You might have, let's say, for example, some more fun activities. So you might need to arrange a cinema trip for your family, because as we speak, it's half term, so you've got to keep your kids busy. So you want to arrange a cinema trip for the family. You might need to book a meal for an important occasion, such as an anniversary. You might need to sort something because you have a regular meeting with your friends every weekend, or once a year on a particular weekend you go away for a golf trip, and you might need to get that organised. So all of these different things are all adding up. You've got all these different things you need to do. If you put them all together, there's a dozen or so more activities, and it's quite a lot to juggle. And this list is just an example, but in most people's lives, I don't know about you, but I can have 50 or 60 different things on my list at any given time. And it can be quite overwhelming. What do you do first? I mean, obviously things with deadlines. So if it's an anniversary, your wife's not going to be happy if you don't get that meal booked. But sometimes you've got to juggle and prioritize what do I really need to be doing next. So one method, which is a system I want to share with you today, is basically a system called batching or chunking. So there's a famous business coach called Tony Robbins. He refers to it as chunking. Some other people call it batching. And essentially, if you looked at all those activities, and I purposely avoided this screen initially when I was jumping from all the different things you might have on your list, but by batching or chunking, what you do is you group those tasks together. So rather than look at them all individually and have them all mixed up and you literally don't know where to start, group all of the similar activities together, because essentially it's far more efficient for your brain to be doing similar activities at the same time. So if you've got a day spare to tick off your to-do list and really eat into that list, it's far more efficient to do the same activity, because you're moving from one thing to the other and you're basically in the flow. You're in the groove, really. You're not jumping around doing all these different things. So in this example, I've categorized the first things as bookkeeping and finance for someone who's got a business, and that could be a personal person, paying your personal bills. It could be sorting out fees for your kids at school. So I've organised that as bookkeeping and finance. These activities I've all associated with marketing. So this is all marketing related activities. So if you concentrate on all of them at the same time, your mind's basically in that zone, really. It's in the mood for that type of activity. Household. So basically the tasks on here, as I mentioned, is you've got your shopping, you've got your washing up, you've got your house chores, you've got your cooking. Most of us don't cook as good as Jamie Oliver, but we have to cook, we have to eat. And this, I imagine, this list alone could probably have 50 different things. There could be all sorts of things on your things you need to do in your house, and you can potentially include things you need to do for your kids as well, such as homework, for example. And the last categorization I used was social activities. So it's a really, really powerful tool. It basically frees up your mind and it groups it. So you've got 4 different things that you need to work. So you're batching all these things into 4 main activities. There's no set amount of categories you can use. It's whatever works for you. I've just picked some examples. I tend to not use any more than 6, so I put my things into 6 categories, and I even put it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, so that I know what my main priority is. So there's no wasted time or energy jumping around and debating with myself what I should be doing next, because when you do that, you basically end up wasting time. And so yeah, having a clear order of what you need to be doing next makes a huge difference, and it's a lot less draining in terms of your energy. So hopefully you found that quite useful. So there is another method of organising, or shall I say prioritising your time. It's not necessarily mutually exclusive to this, so you could use it in conjunction with that, but it's a different way of categorising what you should be doing next. And basically you think of a graph, and you have at the top you have high importance, low importance, and then at the bottom you have urgent and not urgent. So basically you end up with 4 different scenarios. So you create 4 boxes, and at the top, so box 1, you've got high importance, high urgency, so that's box 1. You have high importance, not urgent, and basically you've got your 4 different categories. So the least important box or type of task is going to be, it's not urgent and it's not important. If it's not important, it's not urgent, why is it even on your list, basically? If it's urgent and it's important, you need to do it, but you're firefighting a little bit. So you want to be spending most of your time in high importance, but not urgent. So you basically want to be finding time for the important things before they become urgent. And that's the key to that system. And so that's something that works for a lot of people. So the 3 tips of different ways of, managing your workload and your tasks in your life is get it onto a second brain, whether it's a piece of paper or an app, use batching or chunking, and think of some form of prioritization system, because we've all got deadlines. I hope that helps. Thanks.